I feel like most people don't appreciate just how weird it is to be a human. It's hard to appreciate the queerness of the human condition when you're immersed in it, sort of like trying to see the forest for the trees. But when you take a step back and you observe, it becomes clear, at least to me anyway, that human beings are strange as fuck. As a species, we're an anomaly, an outlier. Some might even say a freak occurrence when compared to the other life forms with whom we share the earth. I mean, what else would you call an animal that uses powerful magic to transcend its physical limitations and shape the world according to its whims and desires? That's us. We do this on a daily basis. Sometimes I'm flying home from a business trip and I'll look out the window and I'll see a city below me, and it's like this giant anthill full of lights. The streets are like writhing with cars and people, and I think to myself, how the hell did we get here? How did I get here? To be clear, I'm not saying that our peculiar nature is all good, nor that everything we do is worth celebrating. To the contrary, much of what we do is quite disturbing and unsettling at times. Yet, this shouldn't take away from the fact that we're novel creatures, radically different from our relatives on the tree of life. So what is it that distinguishes us from the rest of creation and also gives us power over creation? How did we go from being apes to nomadic wanderers to space explorers in such a short span of time, while other animals, even those most closely related to us, remain in a state of blissful ignorance? Well, there are likely many answers to this question, and I would never pretend to know them all. In fact, I don't pretend to know any of them. What I have are theories, and the theory I'd like to talk about today relates directly to the central theme of this channel, and is at the heart of my life's work. What I'd like to suggest today is that humans are novel because they exist in two dimensions at the same time, and that our ability to navigate these two dimensions, to map them out, is at the foundation of our incredible power. And it's also the fuel that drives the surreal world that we've created for ourselves. The two dimensions to which I refer are not actually separate or distinct from one another. Rather, they're two facets of a single phenomenon, much like heads and tails are simply two sides of a single coin. What I'm referring to here are the spiritual and material dimensions of reality. Now, if the word spiritual triggers you, I invite you to set aside any preconceived notions you might have about it, or any past experiences you have with it. When I use the term spiritual, I'm not talking about the Abrahamic traditions, or Allah, or Yahweh, or even organized religion for that matter. I simply use the term to describe aspects of reality that are intangible, invisible, formless, and without substance. It's like this is material, right? This is material, right? And then the thoughts that I have that are connected to the words that are coming in my mouth, those thoughts. Consciousness, mind, thoughts, beliefs, these are spiritual in nature, being that they are intangible and formless. Now, right away, some might argue that this isn't quite right, that consciousness is a product of the brain, which is a physical organ, and that thoughts are merely the firing of neurons within said brain. But this argument misses the point I made about 5 seconds ago. The brain is indeed tangible, and with some anesthetics and a bone saw, we can cut into somebody's head and we can behold this 3.5 pounds of gray matter. But if we cut and we dig into that brain, we'll never find the beliefs of that individual, nor their personality, nor anything relevant about that person. Likewise, we can witness the firing of neurons using imaging technology like an electroencephalograph. Hold up. Like an electroencephalogram. It's an EEG, damn it. But we won't witness the thoughts to which those firing neurons correlate. I'm not saying that consciousness and brain are completely unrelated, nor am I denying the relationship between the firing of neurons and the formation of thoughts. I'm merely saying that these are two different aspects of a single phenomenon. Neither one can exist really without the other. Therefore, neither one is superior to the other. They fulfill different but complementary functions. Spirit, I believe, shapes matter from within. And matter, of course, influences spirit from without. So what we get is a kind of a multi-directional feedback loop, whereby a change in one dimension affects a change in the other dimension, and then it just goes back and forth like that ad infinitum. But I digress. One of the things that makes humans extraordinary is our ability to travel within and between these two dimensions. To step back and to observe each one from a necessary distance, and then to integrate what we learn from those observations into our daily lives in a practical manner. Just take the scientific method, for example. Over time, we learned to step back and observe the material universe, conduct experiments, and make inferences about the invisible laws of nature. What's more, we learned to leverage this understanding to our advantage to create increasingly complex and powerful technology. We vanquished countless diseases, extended lifespans into the triple digits, explored outer space, and so much more. Yet despite our apparent genius and power, we appear to be undergoing great trials and tribulations at this moment. We fight each other over superficial differences, pillage the ecosystems that sustain us, push ourselves to the brink of annihilation, and operate under the smog of ignorance, delusion, and misinformation. I'd like to suggest that our woes, both as individuals grappling with our own unique challenges, and as a species facing the very real threat of extinction, are the result of spiritual ignorance, which is at its core ignorance of self. We've already explored every landmass on the planet, mapped out the ocean floor and the human genome. We've peeled back the layers of matter and found increasingly smaller building blocks. But we haven't yet peeled back the layers of the psyche. We haven't yet mapped ourselves out or explored the continents lurking within. Until we understand ourselves from the inside out, nothing we do outwardly is going to make a single bit of difference. We're going to keep living hollow lives, jaded and cynical without ever knowing why, searching for something we can't quite identify. Every word and achievement tinged with an undercurrent of boredom and absurdity. No amount of wealth, understanding, knowledge, or power is going to help us. Not until we turn our attention to the inner landscape of the soul. Thank you for watching this episode of The Outsider's Perspective. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll tune in for future episodes. And until then, live well, my friends. The Outsider's Perspective is brought to you by the Belle Isle family. Pumping out kids and kicking ass since 2010. And peacocks. Aren't they the most beautiful birds out there? I've always wanted to try one. I bet you it tastes like turkey. They're basically just like raver turkeys. Just out there shaking their tail feathers. And by voodoo masks. When you want to conduct voodoo curses on your enemies, buy a voodoo mask, because that's kind of what they're for, you know? And brought to you by Carpet. It feels nice under your feeties. It's nice and fluffy. And, you know, I like it. So there you go.